So, Mervyn, may I begin by inviting you first to share your vision for the next 10 years for the Mervyn King Academy for Sustainable Development in Asia. Over to you, Mervyn.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the Asian Center for Corporate Governance housed in Mumbai for founding this academy and giving me the honor of naming it after me. It's much appreciated. As you've already said, Mahendra, for 20 years I've chaired the advisory board on governance for Asia. And it's been part of my life to advise on governance around the world, but particularly in the Asian region. And many of my friends are on the screen here, one of them being Paul Nasir, and my former colleague from GRI, Teresa Vochelberg, and my colleague from the United Nations, George Kyriakou, when I chaired the Eminent Persons Group at the United Nations on Governance and Oversight. George was my right-hand man. So it's the Academy expectations, in my judgment, must be to give effect to SDG 17, collaboration and cooperation. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it is without collaboration, well, Homo sapiens may not see out the end of the century. And it's with collaboration, for example, that a vaccine is being sought for this coronavirus. But there are two crises on planet Earth at the moment. One is economic and one is viral. Consequently, some 5 months ago, I coined the word coronanomics because all organizations are swimming in the sea of coronanomics. And from a governance point of view, corporate leaders cannot ignore the fact that they're making business judgment calls in a situation where economies have been adversely impacted by the restrictions following the lockdown provisions. And of course, the virus is all around us. We can wear masks, we can isolate, we can social distance. These are the recommended remedies to try and avoid the virus. None of those remedies will help us with climate change. It is the elephant in the room. And while I'm speaking, the climate is worsening for Homo sapiens. And whilst we're going through a period of survival, in 2 years' time, economies will start thriving again. And corporate leaders have to get their companies ready to deal with that. So in business models and strategy, directors cannot ignore to have a long-term plan to direct their businesses in the context of climate change. So this academy, I believe, must be a center of collaboration. None of the social outcomes, which they are the 16 SDGs, they all got social outcomes. And it's interesting that integrated reporting is outcomes-based, the goals are outcomes-based, and governance itself needs to be outcomes-based. Hence, my recent writing and my recent book published that the modern approach to governance must be mindful, outcomes-based, not a mindless checklist, which it has been for many years. So I'm hopeful that public officials in Asia, private sector companies, regulators, the regulated, civil society organizations, citizenry in India, in China, in Malaysia, in Singapore, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, are all aware that value needs to be created by organizations, and I use that generic word rather than company, in a sustainable manner, which means not using natural assets faster than nature is regenerating them. And I have been saying this, well, certainly since 1992. And 2 weeks ago, IFAC, the International Federation of Accountants, and a statement by the GRI, SASB, CDSB, and two other framework providers in the ESG cluster issued a statement, hopefully, I believe, of collaboration to establish an international sustainability standards board. For too long, we've had the frustration of these framework providers dealing with public interest issues and yet seeing themselves as competitors. I described it in London 2 years ago as a social outrage that people, organizations such as GRI and SASB dealing with public interest issues and having the same public good outcome should actually see themselves as competitors instead of following the guidance of SDG 17 of collaboration. And only today, as late as today, the World Economic Forum issued a statement, a very long one of some 63 pages, where they have collaborated with the big four accounting firms and have issued metrics and standards taken in the main from GRI, and GRI is the gold standard in the world on sustainability reporting, setting out metrics that members of the IBC, the Business Council attached to the World Economic Forum, should follow. So it is my wish for this academy, named after me, for which I'm honored and appreciated, that it is seen as a catalyst for collaboration between these various entities in society, and it includes members of the Society of India, for example. If a building is being built, but it's not a green building, there's not sustainable materials being used, it's not being designed in a manner that those who are occupied can occupy it with an improved quality of life. And it's designed also for when it's demolished, that it doesn't pollute planet Earth. So my hope is this academy is a catalyst for collaboration amongst all these entities to ensure there's value creation in a sustainable manner. And thank you very much, Mahendra, and all your colleagues for forming this academy and for naming it after me. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Mervyn, for laying out that vision for us. And I'm sure we're all in sync on this, and particularly our advisory board members on the academy, Justice Sri Krishna, Shailesh Haribhakti, Nasir Manji, Yoris. We have taken note of it. We will try and see definitely that this academy becomes the center for the collaboration, SDG 17 particularly, and collaboration between government, private sector, civil society, regulators, and regulated all across Asia. Thank you once again, Mervyn.